Okay. All right, it looks like we are rolling. Just double check. We're doing this live, so, you know, things are precarious at best. Anyway, here we are. It looks like we have a green light. Greetings. This is Tarot Lumination, and that's you guys, Capricorn. And this is your March 2019 miniature generic love and relationship report, okay? As I explained in other reports, we're doing this live because I don't have an option right now. Normally I like the comfort and privacy of doing these as recordings, and then I upload them, and then you guys see them later. But the only way I can upload them now is to do this live stream, and then it goes directly encoded into the channel. And that's just how things are here right now. I'm working in a very remote location, and that's just how it is. We're lucky to have internet at all. Okay, thank you so much. So for a lot of the folks in the United States, it's very late Sunday night. Most of you are in bed already. So, you know, if anyone's here, great. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the chat, if at all, because I'm really just here to record this and then get it online. And by your Monday or your Tuesday night, all the reports will be collated into one playlist, and then you can have everything at your fingertips, okay? So there we go. First off, this is for you, Capricorn, and this is your astro doodle for the month. All I will suggest is please watch the astro doodles playlist so that you can get a better perspective on this report. This isn't going to mean much here right now tonight because I'm not going to be spending a lot of time on this, okay? There's a couple of hot spots which we could point out. Like there's the full moon towards the end of the month on a couple of hard angles with you. And you've got Uranus entering Taurus in your house of lovey-dovey romance. So there you go. Add all that up. And you still got Pluto and Saturn here in your first house. Add all that up. Let's not dwell on it. I want to get to the basics. Let me just go over this with you. Some of you have already checked in a few times this evening for some of the other reports, so this is going to sound like I'm repeating, but here we go. The Astrodoodles, it is a separate playlist. You can go to the channel and hit the playlist button, and you can cruise down, and very shortly you will find the Astrodoodles playlist for March. Next, if you're into a personal reading, we can do that. Check the links below in this video. There's a button just for that. Next, membership. It's very important for this channel to have members. It's the best, actually the best way you can even say thank you, because we provide all this content essentially for free, and in the laws or in the nature, in the spirit of fair exchange, this is the best way to reciprocate. Okay, thank you very much. And if you want to just go for it, you can donate. You can check the links below, or you can even do super chat live right now if you want to. So there you go. I'm going to put all this aside. Thank you very much. Hold on. Pause. Click. There you go. So you got that, right? Next, we're going to be using the Tarot Lumination Crucible spread for this report, okay? I've shown this on every report, so if you've already done your sun, moon, and rising, you can just fast forward and go straight to the cards, all right? But I have to show this to everybody anyway. So we're making this report using the Crucible spread on the understanding that there is you, a significant other, and a third entity called the relationship itself, which is basically like the crucible. The crucible is a bowl type structure, usually super high refractory ceramic, that is designed to withstand the intense alchemical reactions that happen in a laboratory, which is the same as what happens in human relationships. So that's why I use this particular spread. So instead of operating unconsciously, in other words, you and the other and you, which is how a lot of us operate, frankly and honestly, there is so much more going on. And once you understand that and accept that and work with that, you can have a much richer, more satisfying life with yourself, with another, and with the relationship, okay? And you can also discover a lot about what doesn't work. And that's a good way to find out what does work, okay? So for you, Capricorn, for everybody, this out here would be, I think of it as the weather, the external energy. This thing is a pulsing, living thing, and you guys own this. So what is the nature of this? You need to understand this because you are receiving energy from the universe and you are transmitting energy out to the universe through your relationship, okay? So it helps to understand that. We'll probably come back to this in a little while, but I'm hoping you'll see how this relates to the cards. You'll see this in a moment, all right? So cards are already well shuffled in advance. I'm going to the last second so that you're a witness. No jumpers, no flyers, no oracles, no reversals. Excuse me, I'm using the most basic deck that I have because I need a little bit of sense of security, peace of mind, in some very, let's say, volatile conditions. So I'm doing what I have to do in order to stabilize myself personally as your reader and to have the best chance of giving you the best reading possible in these situations, okay? Again, cards are well shuffled in advance, but I'm going to the last second so that you're a witness, okay? No jumpers, no flyers, no oracles, no reversals. You'll see in a moment how the cards play out, okay? Give me a second. I need to feel totally comfortable with the cards right up to the very last moment. So when you do this, Capricorns, please invite your invisible friends, okay? Make it a group effort. Invite them. They like to be invited. They don't like to be taken for granted, okay? Just like in human relationships, okay? We need to be very conscious. Also, please watch for your sun, moon, and rising. Also, you might want to cross-watch for a significant other, okay? So that's what we got so far. Cards are shuffled. Let's cut it up. Bless this deck. Bless every single card. This deck has done thousands of readings and it will keep going. It looks like for at least a while. Thank you for being here, whoever you are. Here's you, Capricorn. What are you radiating? What are you transmitting? What are you transceiving? Over here, what about a significant other? By the way, this is not a couples reading. It's all about you, Capricorn. And by the way, singles, I know you write in sometimes, how can this work? Well, this is designed for chosen relationships that exist, but you can also look at this as what if you allow for the laws of attraction, you understand them in terms of raw physics, you are radiating, transmitting an energy, and the universe is reflecting back to you. So this could be considered the energy of what if. What about a significant other? In other words, if so-and-so showed up, what is the scenario that you're potentially looking at, okay? It doesn't mean we're going to find your twin flame right now or connect you to your soulmate and all that stuff. We're living in a constant state of flux, okay? Deep inside of you, deep inside of the other, and then to the core of the relationship itself. And this is a living thing, like a chemical reaction. And what is being fermented here? Just bubbling up. What's bubbling up? What's growing? What is sprouting here? Are you evolving? Are you growing? Are you investing? Are you doing the homework and the maintenance so that this is good? Are you communicating? Are you listening? Are you being kind? Are you being considerate and respectful? Let's have a look at the weather. This card represents the stuff that's out there, okay? That stuff, okay? We need to have an awareness of this. So we're starting the reading. Here we have the Strength card, okay? So for you, Capricorn, my feeling is that this is very much to do with what you've been dealing with for a long time now, which is the Pluto in Capricorn, along with the Saturn in Capricorn stuff, which is basically coloring the whole of your life, whether you like it or not. I'll just point to it over here. Excuse me. I will point to this over here in terms of the astrology, okay? And this is amazing in some ways, but it's also amazingly stressful in some ways because it means unrelenting, heavy-duty, serious pressure to evolve and grow in ways that you've never gone before. And anything and everything that's not appropriate will be demolished and stripped away, and that's just how it is. Welcome to Pluto. Welcome to the great teacher, Saturn, as painful as that might be. So that affects everything else, okay? So with the Strength card here, my feeling is that you are living through a long-term experience of you being yourself in your physical three-dimensional self, the person that you know, the person that you see in the mirror with all your strengths, all your weaknesses, all the power, the glory, the vulnerability, and all the evolution and transformation that you've already endured already. But there is so much more to come, including January 2020, by the way, which will be like a huge calendar moment globally. And that is a Capricorn moment of huge proportions. So my feeling is that you are feeling right now in your life, the extreme polarities between the self that you know, the egoic self, all your raw stuff like passions, desires, ambitions, goals, lusts, abilities, magnificence, and all of that is being almost like shredded and stretched and ripped by the heavens above, saying, okay, Capricorn, that's really cool, it's fantastic, great, well done for your evolution so far, but there is so much more to do, because from the spiritual perspective, we're seeing you as yet unevolved. Sorry. We're going to have to work with you. We're going to have to continue to work with you. The planets are always working with you and for you. It's just a question of, can you handle it, okay? So my feeling is that this could be in some ways very uncomfortable, but there's no way out of it. And you already know that because you've been dealing with this kind of energy for probably years now. So let's have a look. What about now? So with the Hermit thing energy here, you might be in a situation, again, I feel this is to do, let's blame it on the astrology, okay? Let's just make it really simple. The Pisces energy that happens early on is in a relatively benign, safe area over here, and it's comfortable for you anyway. The Capricorn Pisces energy is comfortable. But by the end of the month, you're going to have this Aries Libra opposition going on in these two most sensitive parts of your chart, the foundations of your life and the outpourings of your life, your so-called destiny, your so-called career, and they are intensely connected. And my feeling is that you're in a situation where it's almost like it doesn't matter who you're connected with right now, who is your loved one, how much are they with you or not, you still end up in a situation where you realize, oh my gosh, it's all about me in the end anyway. I have to accept that this is me, this is my life, and no matter like the depths and the profundity of the connection with a significant other, it's almost like you can't escape. It's almost like you can't escape the evolutionary pull right now because of the Pluto-Saturn thing in your first house, and that impacts everything. So it puts you in a position where like you don't have any choice except to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper in order to just get by. That's tough. That's very, very, very tough, because even with having a loved one, let's say you've got someone who's very loyal, has been with you for a long time, or you have all the hallmarks of something that, you know, has substance, you still end up in a position where it's real, like, where you have to accept, like, damn it, I'm just me. They are them, I am me, and we have this thing called the relationship, which is its own thing, and it's not just, you know, in another reading we could have said everything like this is just a big blurry, like melted butter situation, but right now there's a lot of definition going on here where it's almost like you're being pulled, massaged like clay, like a sculpture, like how sculptures are built, where you're being pulled deeper and deeper and deeper into your soul self, your single, solitary, individuated soul self, more than ever before. And some of that can feel very uncomfortable. Knowing that you have to find the answers from within. And like, it's almost like, forget the other party, forget consultations, forget private readings, forget the astrodoodles, forget tarot illumination. I am ultimately the only one who can actually figure out what needs to be figured out. Let's have a look at the other. Okay, well, with the Seven of Wands here, my feeling is that in some ways you're really, really lucky, because you've got someone who looks like they're hanging in with you, no matter what. No matter how tough it is, they are doing what they have to do to take care of business on their side of the equation. Okay, so let me get back to this thing here. There's you. Okay, there you are, just figuring out how to be you going forward. And that's tough enough. That's very tough under these conditions. And they're there. And my feeling is like they're holding things together, knowing that you are under incredible duress, but they also know that this is ultimately for your good. And if that's good for you, it's good for them. So they are making deliberate choices to hang in and to win against a lot of pressure. Because if you're under a lot of pressure, that means the relationship's under a lot of pressure, which means they're under a lot of pressure. So that this to me is good news. When I see the Seven of Wands here, that looks to me like you've got someone who is on your side no matter what, and they're holding up, they're holding very well. This is a card of courage in the face of adversity, and they're doing very well. And they're doing that also for their own gain, because it looks to me like if they don't take action and do what has to be done, then everything, all the good stuff becomes jeopardized. Excuse me, hold on. Hey, I've just seen, hey, Susie Q. Susie Q, oh my God. Susie Q, please give me a moment here. I'm going to break from the reading just for a moment. When I was a little kid, I lived in Akron, Ohio. And the very, very first person I ever fell in love with was my little girl next door neighbor. And her name was Susie Q. She was an absolute adorable sweetheart. I had such a crush on her. And I was probably just a little tiny kid. And everybody in the neighborhood knew it. And then, of course, you ended up, sorry, not you, but Susie Q ended up moving. I think she ended up moving to South Carolina. And I loved her accent because I think she originally came from there. Anyway, that's a very weird little personal story. I thought I'd share that with you because Susie Q, you're right there. Yay. All right, so anyway, sorry about that, people. This is what happens when you look at the chat when you're trying to do a professional reading and you get distracted. Thank you, Susie Q. Thank you, Susie Q. All right, here we go. So what's happening deep inside of you, Capricorn, given the storyline we've got unfolding here already? So with the Three of Swords, my feeling is that you're reaching a point of like maximum pressure, where there's like a red alert going on, where you're starting to see for real in your life, and it's bubbling up, bubbling up, bubbling up, while you're under a lot of pressure to evolve and grow and transform and, like, let's say, I don't know, do your job. What is the Saturn energy word I'm thinking of here? Get your act together. Do what you have to do to get done what has to be done. And what you're realizing, what you find is deep down, you find like, oh my gosh, this is insane. And it's just like, why is it so painful? Why has it taken so long for me to learn? Even as a Capricorn, who typically tend to be pretty wise and aware of the facts of life and how life actually works, as opposed to how they think it should work. So deep down, like with the Three of Swords here, remember this is not a Cups card, this is actually a Swords card. You start to realize and see from deep down, like, my God, all the good things are really, really great. I may have so much stuff, good stuff going on. I may have so many noble qualities, admirable qualities, and I'm still evolving and growing, and I have so much yet to do. And then you realize deep down, but everything that's not working, I see it. You can start to see now, like, how you are a vital part of the equation of pain. It's just like you could blame them or anything outside of you, like circumstances, the marketplace, the environment, the president, the culture, the economy. But in the end, you have to own it. Because it's your life, you have to live with it. Anything and everything that could go wrong, you eventually have to own it. And you realize, like, if I was blaming them or the relationship or the culture or external influences, I was actually committing a very subtle or maybe even blatant form of self-sabotage. And then you end up cursing yourself, things like, damn it, I should have known that. I'm a Capricorn, I'm wise, I should know that. But even Capricorns have to evolve and grow. Even Capricorns have stuff to learn, okay? And then you realize also, even if there are so many hallmarks that you might have been betrayed or undermined or disserved by a significant other, or the relationship has been sabotaged by someone else or something else, it's still something that you have to own, that you have to deal with, no matter how painful. And that is painful when you have to realize that. But then again, my feeling is that this is the Saturn-Pluto lesson, is coming crushing down, like it's all about you in the end, Capricorn. The thing is, like, it's like Capricorns kind of know this stuff already. It's just that I feel that there's an awful lot of intense, almost like brutal pressure on you Capricorns to know this even more, and how really profound and how serious it is, especially when we talk about life and evolution on this planet in terms of our own spiritual growth, healing, and evolution, as opposed to our physical life and lust for being alive now. So Capricorns, you tend to be very, very, not just preoccupied, but very immersed in the three-dimensional, functional, physicalities of life. And then with this stuff that's going on that I was talking about, this stuff, hold on, reference the Astrodoodle, this stuff here, this stuff here, this here, this there, it's like, it almost feels like, you know, oh my God, why have you forsaken me? Why have the heavens forsaken me? I'm already a freaking Capricorn. Why am I under so much pressure to be even more of a Capricorn? It's not fair. It's not fair. But that's what's happening, okay? That's what's happening. You're just under a lot of pressure, and it is increasing, okay? Please, Capricorn, treat this as vital information. We're at the early stages of 2019 now. I guarantee whatever pressure you're under on to transform, evolve, and grow, it's going to increase, okay? Think of January 2020 as a landmark moment. So start planning for that now. Take this as a bell warning, not a warning, an alert, like there is more work to do. Challenges are going to increase, okay? What about deep inside the other? Okay, with the Ten of Swords here, my feeling is that this is literally like almost like an against all odds situation. To me, it looks like you, Capricorn, a significant other, and the relationship are under a lot of pressure. Even if it doesn't look like it on the outside, even if both of you are going through the motions of like carrying the relationship against all odds, because you, Capricorn, have those kind of tendencies. You know, you make responsible commitments, agreements with people. You expect the equivalent from another, and yet you are still vulnerable to the same kind of doo-doo that happens to everyone else in a really messed up relationship situation that's under a lot of pressure. So I think that's kind of what's happening here. To me, this looks like a lot of hallmarks and indicators of like reaching a breaking point where you are sensing that in yourself and the other party is sensing that in themselves, with the Ten of Swords here, like deep down they certainly wouldn't want to admit it, because they're actually doing everything they can to do what they have to do to keep things good, okay, against all odds. But the reality is, my feeling is that they're already tapped out. They are already FUBAR, effed up beyond repair, okay? And that's very tough. It's very, very hard for the other party to maintain their integrity, their commitment, their passion, their love for you, for the relationship, for themselves in this kind of situation. Everything feels like it's being really squashed and pressured to the limits of its abilities to cope, okay? And it's all about spiritual evolution, okay? It's like being under intense, you know how, I don't see the cards here to indicate it, but you know how like carbon and trees and whatever get crushed under intense pressure, and eventually you can create diamonds. Diamonds apparently are created from raw carbon being crushed under intense pressure, and then the carbon flips into another crystalline form, which we call a diamond. Anyway, that's what I heard. So I'm seeing something like that happening here. Intense pressures against all odds. Very difficult for you, very difficult for the other, but you're holding up. It's just that it's a lot of pressure. What about the relationship itself? Okay, to me, the relationship itself looks like it's, whether it's being openly acknowledged or discussed or admitted, it's kind of at a break point where, you know how Capricorns, a lot of times you suppress and repress the emotions in order to take care of day-to-day life. That's one of the Capricorn recipes for success. You do what has to be done. You do not allow yourself to be influenced by emotional trivialities, by things like, oh, you poor thing, or like, oh, do you need a break or whatever, or like, oh, my intuition tell me this. No, you take care of business in a very, very methodical, physical, three-dimensional, matter-of-factual type of way. And that's great up to a point, but in some ways it's at the sacrifice and expense of the love and the heart within. And Capricorns can do that. They can become like workaholics. They can become responsibilityaholics, successaholics, leadershipaholics, where things like emotional sentiment and emotional things like compassion, things like that, are actually a nuisance. And yet the relationship is showing signs that, I'm sorry, dear Capricorn, you are a human being just like everyone else, and you have heart and feelings just like everyone else. Even if it's almost like this reading is a reminder that under extreme pressure, you would have to even allow for the energy of Cancerian type energy, like total mushiness, softness, things about feelings, heartfelt feelings, home and family, and all that stuff that's possibly being repressed. So with the energy of grief here, energy of sorrow, the energy of, it's almost tragic loss, my feeling that it's, you know, if it's coming up here in the relationship, it could be emblematic of like yourself and the other. Like you might have done so much together, but at great sacrifice. In other words, to have the life you have now, to be who you are, for them to be who they are, and to be in this situation, there might have been so much pain and suffering, sacrifice that happened below the surface of the relationship that it's reached a point of almost tragedy, tragic pain, where even you, Capricorn, would have an emotional breakdown, a weeping, crying. I'm not going to do it right now. Sometimes I fall apart in relationship readings. I can't help it. But right now I feel it's very important that I stay firm and solid as if I was a Capricorn, and that you, Capricorn, have to allow for the fact that you might be at the point of having a complete, utter breakdown when it comes to relationships, the relationship, your relationship with you, them, and yourself, and that this is inevitable, like an inevitability. And that, my feeling, is about, it's almost like breaking you. It's almost like it's about breaking you. It's like you're being broken. Like, you know, when they go in the military, when you go in for what is it, basic training, what they do is essentially they push you and push you and push you till they break you. They literally crush your ego. They crush yourself. They crush you until you surrender and you give up and you sublimate yourself to the higher order, which is the military command. And I think that's what's kind of happening here to you, Capricorn, where you are essentially being crushed and broken down by, let's say, the astrology or circumstances or events or the history that you've created for yourself, to the point where the spiritual pressure is pushing down harder and harder and harder until your ego cracks. The Capricorn solid, rock solid ego cracks, and you become this blubbering, squishy, mushy, emotional blob, as though you were a kind of a Cancerian, Piscean, gloopy mess, which is like unacceptable for Capricorns. But that's what I see is happening here, because it's like the breaking open of the heart. Like, if your heart is fossilized, if your heart, your love energy is like stone, if it's turned into granite and everything is being done for reasons above and beyond this kind of heart love energy, you're concerned about the kids, the mortgage, the relationship, stability, business, the business of life. Well, there is more to that. It's okay to feel, okay? And my feeling, that's what's happening here, is you're being crushed very systematically to a breaking point where the Capricorn, even the Capricorn, turns to mush, which is the hardest thing for a Capricorn to do. I feel sad in a way to have to tell you this story that I'm seeing here, that what I'm feeling here, but I feel that you need to know it, because if you continue to maintain that facade, that image of granite, indestructible, ever solid Capricorn stability and stuff, you're almost like setting yourself up to make things worse. So the sooner and quicker, the more you realize it's okay to crumble and soft and have feelings and be sad if you have to, then that's okay. That can be very liberating, and I have a feeling that's exactly what your angels want for you. They want you to crack. They want you to fall apart and become like an emotional blob like the rest of us who can't be Capricorns. There's a reason why not a lot of people want to be Capricorns, is because it's very heavy energy to wear. It's the energy of success, leadership, responsibility, doing what no one else wants to do because it's just tough and tedious and requires a lot of work, dedication, and patience. How many people do you know who want to do that? What are we fermenting here? The Nine of Cups. To me, this is kind of profound, okay? My feeling is that if you kind of understand what Tarot Lumination is talking about here in the storyline, the movie line, the way it unfolds, just like watching a little movie, what's actually happening is that you're being squeezed through a funnel, through a very, very tight funnel It gets tighter and tighter and tighter where you don't have an option. There's nowhere to go. The only way out is through. But when you do that, in other words, it's almost like I'm not trying to force this on you, okay? But if you allow yourself to have a complete and utter emotional breakdown, you're actually doing yourself a favor. You can allow heart energy to flow again, and then you can almost start building happiness again from the foundations upwards in a very, very simple, pure way, getting back to the heart, getting back to your heart. Now, remember, this is not a couples reading. It's really all about you, Capricorn. Very, very much about you, okay? Just you, but you in the context of relationship, the dynamics of a relationship, and a perspective of relationship from Tarot Lumination. And the way I look at the story here, the way it seems to be unfolding from my perspective, of course you can reinterpret if you want, is that through a very, very, very unwelcome, very tedious, slow, painful, like one of those slow, smoldering types of breakdowns where you eventually end up crushed, completely, utterly crushed, and against your will, completely against your will, your normal nature, you end up crushed, but your heart is broken open. Like a fossilized heart gets broken open, and you realize, oh my God, I've been missing all this happiness. This happiness is mine. I deserve it. This is what I need. This is what I want. And that allows you to share that with yourself, with a significant other, and back to the relationship again. So to me, this looks like very tumultuous, very convulsive type of reading where it's like you don't want any of this. You don't want to hear any of this. You don't want to do any of this. You don't want to live through any of this. You don't want to acknowledge this. You don't want to listen to any of it. However, it could be actually good for you. Okay? I hope this helps you, Capricorns. Please make the best of it. You know, watch your sun, moon, and rising and all that. Reinterpret and all that. Check out your astrodoodle reports and all that. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Susie Q, for being here. I hope you enjoyed my little story. Hey, Love Triber, I see you there. I love your note there. I don't know who else is here, but we're going to wrap it up now. I'm going to spend, I just want to check. Hold on, who's here? Okay, Susie Q. Okay, E Zapata. Hey, Zapata. So yeah, watch for your sun, moon, and rising. Anyway, that's your little report for March. Thank you so much for being here. We've got 2 more reports to do. We've got Taurus and we've got Virgo, okay? See you guys soon, okay? Bye-bye for tonight. Okay, bye-bye.